Hello, I'm Michael Redmond, professional nine-dan Go player. Yasui Sanchi and Honinbo Doetsu played what was supposed to be a 60-game challenge match for the Meijin, and this video will be about the 11th game, played as a castle game. I'm showing a position where a fight is about to start. It's Black's turn, and it looks difficult for Black to save both stones on the lower side. The players are about to show us some wild fighting. But before the fight gets messy, it always helps to form a basic plan for what you want to accomplish. So in my comments, I will be talking about what to pay attention to as you choose your plan. So, now I'll introduce the players. Honinbo Doetsu was the third Honinbo, and he was a 7-dan. Doetsu was also the teacher of the famous Honinbo Dosaku, who was already a strong player at the time. Yasui Sanchi was the second Yasui, and he was the Meijin, which equals a 9-dan. So the 2 rank difference meant a 1-stone handicap. And Doetsu had to play with Black. This was Sanchi's second challenge match, because he had already played a 6-game challenge match against the second Honinbo Sanetsu. And that challenge match lasted from 1645 to 1653. But it ended in a tie, so they didn't have a Meijin. The shogunate wanted a Meijin. So when Honinbo Sanetsu passed away, they appointed Yasui Sanchi as the third Meijin. However, Honinbo Doetsu had not played a single game against Yasui Sanchi, and he protested this. So Honinbo Doetsu actually had a favorable record against other members of the Yasui school. So it was finally decided that they would play a 60-game match, starting with a castle game in 1668, and then about 10 games each year. Doetsu had challenged a decision made by the government, so he was threatened with being banished to a remote island if he lost the match. So this was a big issue for Doetsu, but he wasn't worried about the Honinbo school because, of course, there was Honinbo Dosaku waiting to be the next Honinbo. So, okay. So, this is a opening that was played a lot in this challenge match, with Yasui Sanchi taking white all the time. Honinbo Doetsu would have the strategy of giving white control over the bottom side of the board, playing the 2 kakaris, and black stones on the bottom side could sometimes be sacrificed. So Black was trying to take control of the rest of the board, mostly the top side, but also the left and right sides, while sacrificing the bottom side of the board. And I think this was partly his strategy of avoiding Yasui Sanchi's powerful fighting strength, because Yasui Sanchi was a very powerful fighting player, and he was also good at building from the sides towards the center, controlling the center of the board, attacking and taking profit as the fight developed. So Honinbo Doetsu would try to dodge the attacks most of the time. So he was playing kakaris towards the bottom side, but he wasn't going to focus very much on saving those 2 stones. So looking at White's moves, White's pincer, the first pincer was a 2-space low pincer. That was the most popular pincer of the time, and it was also a pincer that the Yasui school liked further into the Edo era, so it was their favorite pincer, you might say. The one-space pincer is slightly less popular at the time, but it makes sense in this context because White already has a stone on the bottom side, so White has a strong position in the middle of the side and can play a tight pincer, a strong pincer against the black stone in the bottom right corner. So Black plays here, and with the 5 3-point, the Homoko Hazushi in the top right corner, I think partly it was Black trying to control the right side of the board, but also the fact that he probably knew that Yasui Sanchi didn't like to jump into the corner. So in a modern game, maybe White would play here, and this would take away the corner territory, so it's a big move. But I think Yasui Sanchi didn't like the low position here, so in a modern game it would continue something like this, with Black pressing from above. And it would be an even game. but I don't think Yasui Sanchi liked this style. So knowing that he would be playing high here, this was a way for black to play the mokazushi and then get the corner territory anyway. Covering on the second line was the joseki at the time. So in a modern game, we would play high on the fourth line. In the Edo era, later in the Edo era, they played this extension on the third line. So this one lasted a few hundred years. And after AIs, we've moved up to the fourth line, which gets a better score with AIs. This is making a threat against the corner. So if black plays away, white can attach here. And black has to capture the stone, which means that white can squeeze from outside. And there's another forcing move at S14. So if black plays here, white can cover here, threatening S18. So if black plays away, black's in trouble now in the corner. So black would have to add a stone in the corner after white 10, and it's a bit painful. So that's what black is avoiding when black plays here to defend the corner. And this is defending against R16, but it's also building towards the right side. So it's starting to build towards the right side, and it influences the center. Locally, of course, it's threatening a pincer. So white extends here. White now has a base on the top side. So that finishes the joseki. And black extended here. So this is a slightly passive move that you would not see in modern Go. I think it makes sense in the context of a game without komi. So since black is not paying komi, it's okay for black to play solidly like this. Okay, so now he plays an interesting move. Since white has a territory there on the right side of the top side, it wouldn't be so exciting for black to play here. Black would not have any coming attack against the white group. So black is trying to be a bit more active with this move. There's a kind of speed to Doetsu's opening, and he liked to take areas quickly to control areas of the board. So when he played well, that was working. In this case, maybe this move was a bit slow because it gave white sente. There was still an invasion at f17, so if black plays away, at some point, black has to worry about an invasion here maybe. So he added a stone. So it was a very solid way of playing, but black could have gained a move if he had played here. So in this case, whether white plays here, or if instead white could play here maybe. In either case, black can play away. And this would be a lighter way of playing. Then black can play stuff like this and start making shape on the bottom side of the board. So this might have been an alternative. In the game, he plays very solidly, and white gets to extend on the side. So playing this extension towards the side, instead of the modern move would be maybe here or a kick maybe. This would be a more direct attack against the black stone. Yasui Sanchi liked to play the extension towards the side and have a less direct attack. So a larger scale, locally it's less severe, but it does cover more space. So black jumped out. The combination of this jump and the attachment at the 3-3 point, this was also a joseki of the time. So the idea is that if white wedges here, black can make shape like this. So in the game, white played a hane. And the black group is alive. So locally, black can play curl around here, and this would give a living shape. Or if white plays that point just locally, black can still live with this. So the black group is alive as it stands. It's very useful to be checking the status of groups like this. So knowing that this black group is alive, it will be helpful in making plans as the game progresses. So white played here. So this is, I could call it a bad move, but I also have the feeling that Yasui Sanchi is doing this on purpose. So naturally, the bottom side seems to be important. So it's probably more important for white to play something like this on the bottom side. And that would be a reasonable move. But he wanted to invite Doetsu into a fight, because Doetsu's winning pattern in the games that he won seemed to be to avoid wild fighting and to keep the game relatively simple. So Yasui Sanchi is sort of inviting black into the bottom side here, which will start a very severe fight, and hoping to complicate the game by doing so. So if white had played here, maybe black would extend on the left side. It would be a more positional game, maybe easier for Doetsu to handle. He has kept his no komi advantage up to this point, so maybe he's going to go away with it. So white plays here, and black invades. White attaches here. So this is a kind of a wild move already, but if white does get to play 2 moves locally, this will create some damezimari in the black shape. So white would then be able to attach here. Black's not going to die, but it's a bit painful. So at any point, white can capture the stones on the top like this. So that would be less than ideal for black. So it's really big for black to push through here, and black does. So in this case, although it's we call it a vulgar move when you're sort of forcing your opponent to play a move that is generally good, pushing through it. Black's move here at g6 is a good shape. It reduces white's potential on the left side. So it's normally a very good move, and sort of forcing your opponent to play that move, we call it vulgar. It's supposed to be bad, but it's necessary for white in this position. So white is satisfied that he has invited black into this bottom side fight, which white does have a local advantage here. So this is the position I was showing at the beginning of the video. And black has to decide what his priorities are. So there's 2 black stones here. It looks difficult for black to save everything. So for instance, if black tried to link up, the tesuji would be to play here. But it doesn't look like it's going to work very well in this case. So white's going to play a hane here. And white has an advantage in this symmetry. There's also a cutting point on the 4th line here. So black could play here. Maybe white would even cut here. So this would be the strongest way to fight. And white's going to win by one liberty. So attaching underneath doesn't work. And black has to decide which side is he going to save. So in the game, black played here. And this heated up the position in the lower right. So in this case, black's going to have to save this group on the right. So this is the group that black started out with, and black is sort of heading towards sacrificing the 1 stone on the left. So I'm going to argue that this was the wrong direction, and that black should have maybe played this way. This would be a forcing move, and then focused more on the stone on the left. So the reason I say that is because when I look at this position, this white group is the relatively strong white group. White has a position on the right side, some territory there. It's pretty much a living shape. So it's unlikely that black will have an attack against this white group. So that's not the group that black wants to fight with. On the other hand, if we look at these 3 stones, this is a weak group, and black has good shape on the other side. Black has a very solid group here, pushing through between the 2 white groups. So it's splitting the 2 white groups in an ideal shape. And these 3 white stones, they can be attacked. So I'm going to go a bit deep here, so don't be surprised at the long variation. But I'm going to say that black should start with just the 1 move here, and then play here. So in this variation, black is going to sacrifice the right side and focus on building on the left side. We're going to see how that leads to an attack against the 3 white stones on the left. So white will naturally play here. White does not want to sacrifice that stone on the bottom side. And this will win the local fight in the lower right corner. So it's not completely dead yet, because I played that move at 1, which makes a bit of a difference. But white's connected up at least. So black will leave that for the time being and start attacking in the center. So this is where black's strong position on the left comes into play, because black can just build this group on the right, just reinforce this group as much as possible while attacking the white group. That's what black wants to do. So white will be able to escape. And here we see black playing some forcing moves against the left side. So the idea here again is to strengthen your opponent's strong groups. So that was true on the right side also, but on the left side, white has this position. This group, I'd say it looks like white's already alive. So this is a strong group. So instead of trying to invade, for instance, on the 3rd line, black wants to reduce from above, playing forcing moves. So that's what this move is. The shoulder hit, it's a reducing move. It's really effective if black gets to play another move at c9, so white has to answer it. And so in the end, white connects up at 16. And you can see black's just trying to make sure, black 15, just trying to make sure that that group is healthy. That's the most important thing. And black continues to attack from the relatively weak group. Black doesn't need to have stones to the group on the bottom side. So something like this. Well, black has surrounded white. It doesn't quite work ideally, because when white plays here, black does have that issue of the damezumari. I talked about it slightly early in the video. If black adds a stone to the outside, then white can play here. And black has damezumari, or bad shape. So this would not be alive if black went down here. There would be some issues. And then it would be in big trouble. So otherwise, against this, if black plays here, white can play here. Black has to play here to live. And white would be able to capture that. Cutting stones. So black doesn't want to do that. So black will probably just play here. And now black's going to stop attacking, because if black tries to save that, there's a lot of damezumari, and it's not going to end well. So this would be a complete collapse for black. So black's not ready to get into that fight. Black could conceivably try something different at this point, but it's probably not going to be very good anyway. So black's not going to save the 3 stones, but black has already made a strong position in the center, and black has reinforced this group. And black has some kind of a forcing move in this general area, which he's not going to use it yet, but if black gets an extra stone in the area I've circled, then black will be able to save these 3 stones. So there's an extra potential forcing move there. For the time being, black would switch back to the lower right corner here. And this would be alive. So by prioritizing the left half of the fight, black had some potential to attack white and play a lot of moves with sente, and then black could go back to the lower right. So this would be functioning well. In a no-komi game, this would be a win for black. So that was a long sequence, but the general story is pretty simple, where black is reinforcing the group here on the bottom side, this group here, and attacking the white group while playing forcing moves against the relatively strong white groups. You have to have that general idea as the fight starts in order to be able to imagine a variation like this. So black would really just need to be having the idea that something like this, it would be nice if that could happen. And then the rest, it probably follows. Okay, back to the game. Black played from the right side. That meant that this group would be getting heavy, and black would have to continue on the right side. So we got into this fight. White does want to play the Tari here, because if white pulls back, this would be relatively passive, and black would have another opportunity to play on the left side. So white plays an Atari here, and it gains momentum. And white connects underneath. So white has defended the right side, and this peep here on the fourth line, this stone that white has played here, is getting in the way. So it becomes more difficult for black to succeed on the left side. So white pushes here and covers. So this was the tesuji. Generally, it's attacking white's shortage of liberty. So white did play here, black cuts, and if white had continued here, black would be able to link up like this. So that would be a disaster for white. Instead, white played here. So what's happening here is that black can capture the one stone, but will not be able to link up to the right side. So if black plays here, white can play here and here. So regardless of whether black plays the Atari at O3, this Atari here, it doesn't make any difference. So whether black had played that first or not, white would still be able to connect up with 2 and 4. And black would need one more move to live, after which white would capture on the right side. So this would be an option, but white will be satisfied to capture those black stones. So instead of that, black pulled back here. In this case, it's good that black didn't play the Atari at O3, because sometimes he's going to play the forcing move at N6. So white crawled. So sometimes black's going to play the forcing move here, but he has to extend first. So he extends this, and he actually has a way to save this group. But he's sort of falling into the style that Yasui Sanchi likes to play. So I'd say that white's strategy here of leaving the bottom side and playing this opening move on the left side instead of defending the bottom side, it's worked at this point when he's sort of dragged black into the fight on the bottom side. So black can bump against white here. And at this point, black has 4 liberties. So if white plays on top, black's going to win by a difference of 1 move. So black can win that semi. And after this, black can escape here. So this works because next black has the wedge at this point. So that would link up to the left. And black escapes with a bamboo joint. Okay, so it looks like white's in trouble also. So white has a weak group on the bottom side, a weak group in the center. White deals with that with the cut here. So this is defending against black pushing through here. So since white is cut, black can't push through there. Black couldn't push through earlier either. So if black had done it immediately, white would push through here and then push through here. So winning that fight. White might mix in at some point a cut here. That would be more severe. But in any case, white's winning the fight here. So that's why black started with this and white defended against the cutting point. And white played here. So white has captured the 2 black stones in a net and is threatening to cover at Q8. So if black plays here, white would cover here and capture the black group in the corner. So this is where there's a branching point. And I'd say, back at this point. Black made a mistake at this point. So in the game, black played Atari and took Sente. So there's 2 problems with this move. One is that black's still in a bit of trouble in the lower right, but he seems to be thinking of sacrificing that group with a call. But it's not completely saved. And there's also the fact that filling this liberty, this white stone fills a liberty, and it increases white's control of the center. So what I'm saying here is that if black had just simply extended, so this variation, then black would have different ways to make use of the 2 stones. So this net here that white has used to capture the 2 stones is a bit looser in this case. It means that when white pushes through here, which is forced, black can play an attachment from this side. And this would be threatening to save the 2 stones. So white would have to answer that, and black would get another forcing move here. And would start to have some shape towards the center. So this would be a playable fight for black. So something like this. And black would add 1 more stone here. And black's position on the right side would be stable. And in the center, this is the key point, but black can counter that with this. So black would be able to move out in the other side, in the other direction in the center. So something like this. And this group would be healthy enough. The two stones at 5 and 9 can be sacrificed. So in this case, black would still be doing fairly well. In these games with no komi, it's generally the case that in the beginning black does have a lead. So he just needs to find the best response to this fight. In the game, black played an Atari and peeped. So yeah, the peep is good, and he's covered white. So white's surrounded on the bottom side. White does have a lot of liberties. So white has 9 liberties for this group. So a semi is going to favor white. This group has 9 liberties. When white plays here and here, black cannot save the group here. Black captures, and it's going to be a call. So it all depends on the call. So in the game, black played here and broke through here. And white is going to sacrifice the corner and build on the left side. So in the remainder of the game, a lot depends on what happens on the left side of the board. So this area, white's still slightly overextended. For the time being, white's threatening to save these 2 stones here. So the knight's move here is sente. So this is the final big issue of the game. It's going to be interesting here also. The fight here, black's group only has about 4 liberties. So white is easily winning the semi. White has 9 liberties, so it's a big win for white. In the game, he played here and this. To be honest, I literally don't believe this, because throughout the game, most of the moves, the calculation is very precise. And we're going to see some more of that in the coming fight on the left side. But this exchange of 2 moves for 2 moves is a bit suspicious. So I'm going to suggest that maybe they played it in a different order. So if white had played here, then this would be a peep. Black would answer that, and here. So the important thing is that white's threatening to save the 2 stones. And that's more important than the cut in the center, because if black ignores the threat, then white can connect here. And it's like this. So white's going to lose the semi by 1 move, but white gets all of these forcing moves here, making a strong wall. That would make it easy for white to defend the left side. So all of these forcing moves would be very valuable. It would reduce the black territory also. So black would have to answer. So if white had played in this order, black would have answered both peeps, and and then white would be able to defend the left side. So this is probably the order they played it in. The reason that I question the game record sometimes is because these games are hundreds of years old, and the records were on paper. Since the paper can deteriorate, people would copy the game records. I would hope that most of these players were probably novice professionals at least, but they probably weren't as strong as the players. So sometimes the paper records were already deteriorating to a degree, and the numbers might not have been that clear. Sometimes they interchange numbers, so they get the order wrong, even though they can see where the stones are supposed to be. So this is probably one of those cases where it's very clear that white should have played from this peep. If white plays from this peep, the second peep is not forcing, so black can play elsewhere. Maybe something like this. And the cut here, the point is that this is not worth a single point. It's a 0-point move, and professionals don't like to play that kind of move. So assuming black can live in the center and the left side, then this suddenly becomes maybe even favorable for black. It becomes undecided, at least. So the order of moves here is very important, because if white plays the correct order of moves, then white does have an advantage. And so I'm going to say that they probably played it in this order. And white played here. So this is where Yasui Sanchi is going to finally show some more of his stuff. The left side is in danger. So it would have been reasonable enough for white to play some kind of a defensive move here, just to make sure the left side is territory. at this point in the game, white does seem to have a small advantage. So white won the fight in the lower right, and white has an advantage here. Playing a defensive move, it might be a reasonable thing to do, but he's going for just a little bit more, and white is going to use a weakness that black has in the top right area to defend the left side. So it's going to be interesting. I found that part interesting. So black attacked here. This is a peep threatening to push through at d8. So if white plays here, black can push through here, and black's going to win this race to capture. So if white plays here, you might assume black's going to move out something like this. It could get messy, could get very dangerous. So black can play here. Maybe black would try this way. This would be another move that black could play, connecting up underneath. So at the time black played here, white started with this. So this is a tesuji, and it's threatening to split up the top side. So black has that group on the right part of the top side. Black doesn't want that group to be cut off. So if black answers here, in this case there's a cut at c17. So if black plays here, white can cut here, and that's not going to die, not outright at least. So if black plays here, white can play here. In this variation, black is being cut off. Black actually cannot connect that f18, so let's take a look at that variation too. So if black answers on this side, black runs out of liberties. If black answers on this side, white has 4 liberties and black has 3. So that's how it was working on the top side. It means that black's group on the right is isolated, and black's going to have to scramble for life. Black won't have time to take profit on the left side because the top side is getting busy here. So black played a hane on this side, and white bumped against black. If black captures the stone here, now white's going to be able to split the top side. So again, this cuts off black's group on the top side, makes black busy, so black won't have time to continue on the left side. In the game, black connected here. So this protected the top side, and the corner is okay too. But because white is only losing by 1 move, it means white can get a squeeze. So white plays here. You extend down to the second line, increasing the sacrifice to get more forcing moves. It's a standard procedure. And now white can play here. So the whole sequence was to make this squeeze so that white could play strongly on the left side. So we'll just go back and replay that. So white played what looked like an overextended move, but he was ready with this sequence to reinforce the connection of all the white stones and make this possible. So at this point, with that white group on the 14th and 13th lines well connected, all those points on the 14th line here, white has forcing moves, the important one being this one. It means that black cannot escape. So black jumped out here. White attacks a bit from the center before defending here. So this exchange of 2 white stones for 2 black stones, so these 2 white stones here for 2 black stones, it made the black group a bit heavy. So it's going to created some potential for white to attack a larger group. Whereas if white had simply answered at this point, then the black stone would be relatively light and easy for black to sacrifice later in the game. So black played these 2 forcing moves. Black has to get busy here. So black's trying to gain a move by creating a way with this kick at e10. Black was creating an escape route for the group so that he could play away. And black captured here. So this was a big move. And here we're going to see white use this final attack to build some territory in the center. So he can't actually capture the black group, but he can squeeze it a bit. So black plays here. This is a tesuji. So if white pushes through, black can escape towards the top side by using the forcing move at 4. And black cuts here. So basically black is looking at this escape route towards the bottom. So it's not that exciting, but black can squeeze out. If black had gone after the 2 stones, the whole thing would have been in danger. So this variation, it looks a bit dangerous for black. Yeah, so looks like black can't capture any white stones in the center, and he's probably going to die. So black couldn't do that, and he had to escape from this side. So white's gotten some strength towards the center in this variation and continues with this. So you can see how it sort of mixes in with that stone that white played at Q11. White was preparing to do this all along. Okay, so the game is entering the endgame now, and white has established some territory in the center. And at this point, white does have a solid lead. So this game showcased Yasui Sanchi's fighting prowess and how it was dangerous for Honinbo Doetsu to get in an outright fight with him. So they're going to play some more endgame. Black could not push through here because this would break into black's corner territory. So black couldn't do that. And they're going to finish the endgame. I might as well show all the moves. They have a ko here. So there's a ko here that they played. But white does have a lot of ko threats. So white actually won the ko, I think. Oh no, black won the ko. So yeah, white used this ko threat. This is a big ko threat because when white captures that black stone on the second line, white doesn't need to add any stones to the semi on the bottom side. So it's a big move. Capturing this stone. Yes. So black finished the ko, and they're pretty much finished now. So the rest of the moves are omitted. There's not much endgame to play. It's just that connection on the right side. I would assume white probably played here. This is about 6 points. A difference of 6 points, that is. And then there's some endgame in the middle of the board, which is difficult to make points there. So that was the 11th game of, it was supposed to be a 60-game match. And they played one game in 1668. That was a castle game. And then they played about 10 games in 1669. And at this point, with Yasui Sanchi winning this game, Honinbo Doetsu had 5 wins. Yasui Sanchi had 2 wins. And there were 4 jigos. So Honinbo Doetsu had a lead, but he had to get an advantage of 6 games to change the handicap. Usually in this era, it was a 4-game difference would change the handicap, but in this challenge match, people say that it was supposed to be a 6-game difference. So he hasn't come to the point where he changes the handicap. In order to win the challenge match, he has to change, Honinbo Doetsu has to promote and change the handicap at least once in order to show that he's stronger than 7 dan. Okay, so I'm going to end here. This game was mostly about Yasui's fighting prowess. I'm going to show you how Honinbo Doetsu learned to deal with that and dodge the attacks, taking positional advantages in another video. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back with that next time.